if all these separate disputes come together before the end of the year, yes, there's going to be a massive impact. I would imagine pretty soon we'll hear about what kind of action the RCN is going to be imposing. So there'll probably be cancellations of operations. I would think non-urgent, non-emergency treatment will be put back at a time when there are.
So that's it. Slag the nurses' unions off because they want the nurses to have a decent pay, right? And they wasted billions and billions and billions over the 2 years of unnecessary lockdowns. They're a joke, this government.
My big line on this is that if I went on strike, yes, okay, no one would really care. I understand that. But the crucial point is that people wouldn't die. Okay.
People have been dying for 2 years during the unnecessary lockdowns.
You want more money, maybe you want better working conditions. But if you go on strike knowing that someone might not get cancer treatment and might die as a result.
They've just had that for 2 years with the lockdowns, mate. What are you talking about? You're talking out your arse.
That's a tough thing to sleep at night over, isn't it?
Well, no, it is. That's the point I'm making. It's incredible that they have voted in such big numbers to take industrial action. One of the main messages
so they should
from all the health unions now is that they are taking action to highlight what is happening in the NHS in terms of staff shortages. You talk to a union official now, and they can't believe how many people are leaving the profession. We've been getting stories about qualified nurses leaving to go and work in a supermarket.
That's been happening for decades, mate.
I get that, but then this is one of the things that I struggle to understand, because the pay scale for a nurse is available online. I'm just on the RCN's site here, and they're saying the average is around 33 grand, roughly speaking.
Crap, load of crap.
Look, that's not
newly qualified nurses, 22,000 a year.
That they do, but anyone going into nursing is aware of that figure and aware of the amount of training and possibly student debt that they have as well.
Yeah, that's rubbish. Why should nurses have to pay to be trained? You don't have to do that to join the bloody army.
It's their own fault. I mean, and remember, these are people, who saved lives over the last couple of years with the pandemic. These are people we were all standing.
That's it. They were clapping for them on a Wednesday or Thursday bloody night
because of their amazing efforts to tackle the pandemic, and then they've come out of that. They had to.
And they just bin them off. That's exactly what I thought would happen.
And then they've had a pay rise way below the rate of inflation. I mean, these are probably the biggest group of workers who deserve the biggest pay rise ever. I think. And I think most people think that as well. And the other interesting point about this now is how much public support they will get. It'll be interesting to see the kind of emails you're getting soon. There was a strike in the Northern Ireland 3 years ago, and there was massive public support for nurses then. And I guess there'll be support now.
It's very split. I mean, to be honest with you, my inbox, the vast majority of what I'm getting at the minute is anti this, because people are looking at the fact that we've got a record 7 million people on an NHS waiting list in England. I think a lot of people feel very browbeaten about what happened during the pandemic, and I'm keen to get your views on this, because you mentioned a point there, and this kind of is really central to this discussion, really, which is, was what happened during the pandemic, i.e., the amazing work that nurses did and the pressure that they were under and all of that stuff, how much do they deserve financially in terms of compensation or remuneration, I suppose, as a result of that? Because increasingly now, as the knock-on effects of our lockdown are working their way through, a lot of people are saying,
for all the people who were paid to stay at home,
I couldn't see my loved ones, I'm in financial ruin as a result of this. And people are saying, well, they did that to protect the NHS. Yes, we went out and
load of crap
at the time, but actually, have we not already paid the price to make sure the NHS wasn't overwhelmed?
Well, if we have, it's not working, is it? As I said, I hope you'll get some union officials on to talk about this, because they will give you. Yeah, well, they'll give you chapter and verse about what's happening in the NHS. Record numbers of people leaving, record numbers off with stress. Yes,
it's been happening for decades,
but it's not enough to replace all the people who are leaving. If everything was fine, if we paid them back, why is this happening? Why are midwives and physiotherapists now voting on to go on strike? There's something wrong. There's something fundamentally wrong here with the funding, I think, of the NHS. And I get back to my point.
Or potentially the structure of it as well, or potentially the structure of it. This is another thing that we're going to get stuck into as well a bit later on in the show, which is the management scale of it all as well. Where's that money going? What are we paying agency staff? a lot of people are pointing out that maybe there could be big savings made. And I suppose it does come in line with how much of our national budget do we sacrifice towards the NHS? Do we mostly now pay our
sort out the bloody immigration? £6 million a day.
To have you on the show, Alan Jones there, industrial correspondent for the Press Association, reacting to this nursing.